Welcome back to Switch to Linux. So I had a request in response to the video that I did, I believe yesterday, on configuring the menus in Linux Mint. I should have specified that that's Linux Mint Cinnamon Edition. And I had a request from Glenn to do a video on the same type of video in Mate instead. And so here I'm just going to run through how to do all of the menu configurations in Mate as I did in Cinnamon. And at least in Linux Mint, it's very much similar. There's a few little differences, and there's actually a few other customizations, a few things that make me look at Mate a little bit more with respect than I have in the past. But what we're going to do here is we are going to use just a live key launch just to show you what it looks like. So this is on a VirtualBox. It's not even installed on the VirtualBox. Just in the interest of time, I looked through my files. I didn't actually have a Mate distro of anything inside my distro files, and so I just went ahead and downloaded the Mate today so that I could bring you this video. So we're going to transition over to our VirtualBox. So you can see it's telling me I can install Linux Mint here. And I kept everything here pretty much the same, except I did change the background to this one from the other one that just says Linux Mint over here. Mostly just have a slightly different background than the video I did yesterday. And so what we're going to do today is essentially the same thing. We're going to talk about how to increase the size of the panel. We're going to talk about how to change the icons for the whole global system. We're going to talk about how to change the individual icons and do some basic menu configurations. So first, let's have a look at making the panel a little bit larger so we can read what's going on here. So just like in Cinnamon, if you right-click and you hit Properties in this case, the size here in pixels will tell you the size of the panel. So you can see as I bump this up that my panel is getting larger, and it will auto scale the icons for that. So there's the expand, is where you can make it large or just a small portion. The auto hide will enable the panel to disappear as we're not using it. It won't as long as I have my properties up. And then we do have these show hide buttons, and then I can turn on or turn off the arrows. That's this button down here in the lower left by the menu. You can see that I can hide the panel manually like that. So I'm not going to bother with that part. Now in the background on the panel, you can use the system theme or you can set a custom color. So here I can set a custom color, and I can even set some transparencies, make it more or less transparent. This is something I'm going to have to look for on Cinnamon. I do like a semi-transparent panel. Not completely transparent, but I do like a semi-transparent panel. It is pretty nice. Or you can use a background image, which you'd use if you build a gradient file of some form or another that can be tiled on your menu. I'm just going to keep the system menu for now. And we will close that. So now we have a little bit larger of a menu here. Now, one thing I noticed is it does not seem to scale the icon here. I was not able to get that scaled, so it might have be a setting in there somewhere I just didn't find. But to edit the menu now on Cinnamon, there's only one option in here when we right-click it. In Mate, there are actually two. The preferences will control everything that is in the initial panel control on Cinnamon, and the edit menu actually brings up the editor for the menu items, where you had to click the button. In Cinnamon, you had to click the button inside the preferences. So we're going to start on the preferences. So up here, we can show or hide the icon by toggling this button here. And then we can show or hide the text by just adding or removing texts here. And then the keyboard shortcut we can set here just by clicking. And it says pick an accelerator, is basically says pick a key. And I'm just going to hit the Windows key again. That's what the default is. The Windows key will load up the menu there. So click on that and it will automatically set. And then here is where we can adjust the button icon. So I downloaded several different icons again, just as I had done before. Under our, let's see, in our home folder, I got to find our home folder. And I have a custom icons here, and here's where I just picked a few different menu items. So I'm just going to see which one of these works well. So it's not auto scaling like in the Linux Mint Cinnamon, it auto scaled, so I'm actually not sure if any of these are going to work. So that's maybe a disadvantage of this one versus the Cinnamon, is that it knew how to intelligently auto scale the panel button. So you can see it doesn't do that. Well, I think what I'll do is if GIMP is installed on here, which it is, I'm actually going to edit one of these guys and just kind of scale it down just so I can go ahead and use one or all of these guys. No, that's right. GIMP always starts in this view that I don't actually like here, where it's kind of has all of the menu there. I got to remember how to change that setting back. So it's under preferences. Okay, this isn't something I have to do every day, so I can't remember exactly where it is. Okay, we'll do that. So I'm looking for, there's a setting that allows you to just do one single folder. And never mind, we're just doing something quick. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it how it is. So over here, let's see if I can open 4 things at once. I'm not sure if I can do that. Never tried that in GIMP. Haha, I can. Look at that. All right, so here under image, we're going to scale the image. And if I do something like a 32 pixel, it should scale. Good. File, export as. I'd like the option to just save, but in GIMP it wants to save as this XFC, not the type of file that it originally is. So you have to hit the export as. And then I'm just going to export them all as these. It's going to ask me if I want to replace it. I'm going to say yes and just hit the export and discard changes. So I'm going to do that for each of these. This should be nice and quick. So hey, little tutorial here on using GIMP, I guess. Ooh. Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the canvas size on that. I meant to scale the image. I say that should have kept the scaling the same size. All right, file, export as. This is menu 2, export, replace, export, close, discard. So on my actual work computer, I have a hotkey that is the same hotkey on Photoshop to do this, which is, I want to say it's Control, Alt, and I. So there is no hotkey defined for GIMP, and but that is actually very easy inside the preferences to set all those. All right, so let's image, scale image, 32. And I'm doing 32 because 32 is approximately the pixel size. You can see here, actually, as I just scaled the image, you'll see that it actually is kind of showing that what that looks like there. Okay, so we're done with GIMP. So let's go ahead and quit GIMP. All right. So now we can come back over here and we'll look at our menus again. So now you can see it gives us a nicer little menu there. So a little limitation here on Mate is that it will not scale the image down to size. So you have to take that into account. Okay, I actually like that one. I think that's one of the better menus, menu images that I got. So now we have a menu there. So that kind of will get us our menu without having the main default one there. And you can see with the size, I kind of picked the size to match that. I might be a little concerned if I adjust the panel size back down, that's probably going to crop that down a little bit, is my thought. Yep, so you can see it will do that. So if you are going to be doing this, this adjustment here, what was that, 46, I think, is what I had that at. If you are going to be controlling your panel options there in Mate, make sure that you know the size you want your panel and then scale your custom icons to match that. All right, so now we have that. The plugins here, so what these are going to do is it is going to show your favorites here. So this first option here will always start with the favorites. If you have that deselected, then whatever the last item is that you've had your menu on, it will keep coming back to. But if you change this and always start with favorites, it'll always come back to your favorites no matter what. Okay, so you'll see here that anytime I drop out of the favorites, it comes back into your favorites. So show applications is there. If I go ahead and turn that off, then it gets rid of everything on that side there. And so this one here is not the most useful menu as it is, but there is a way to add the items onto the side to make sure that you do get those applications, because you can customize what's in the places and what's in the system. So I could actually put the icon there. So show the system here is going to be this panel down here, which had the log on, start, and stop. And then the show the places, of course, is the one that was up at the top. Okay, and then we can also show the recent documents, which is not on here by default, but now you can see what all my recent documents are as well. And then you can clear those at any time. So the border width, you can just set a little bit of control for your borders. So that's just how to adjust the main overarching items. So under your theme, you can use custom colors, or you can just use your basic theme settings. So if I just pick a different theme setting, you'll see that it'll give me some different different appearance based upon the theme that I select. This one's actually a little hard to read. So I'm going to keep that at the basic Mint X, but you can adjust those. You can also customize your colors. Now your applications, this will show, this is the application comments are the little guys underneath here. So if I turn off the application comments, sorry, it's over here. I think something got changed there. So you'll see the application comments here will turn off what the menu items were showing. So you'll see here, these are just say about me, appearance, whatever else. If I turn on the application comments and come back here, you'll see that it will give you a brief description of which item does. So this is very handy, especially if you're fairly new to the Linux system, so you can get a brief description of what this program is without knowing. Now, if you know what the program is, you might just want to go ahead and take those off. That's up to you. The category icons, again, are these icons over here. And let's see, our hover delay is how long it takes for them to come over. So, and this is in milliseconds. So if I actually do 3,000 here, then maybe 1,000 is my highest. Yeah, it looks like 1,000 is my highest. And what that's going to tell me is how long do I have to hold over this before my menu shows up. And actually, I like my menus to work pretty quick, so I like the 150. I think that gives me a nice slight delay, but not exactly delay. So your icon size will control your main applications independently of other items. So I'll go ahead and set those up to 32. And then you'll see here, okay, it does get all your applications over here. So this gives you a little bit larger of a menu. So if you are hard of seeing and you want to have really big application menus, go ahead and do that. And you can see here that we have large applications and there's some scrolling. And I'm wanting to see here, yeah, many of the distros will allow you to change the height of this bar. If you can change the height of it, I'm not exactly sure where that is. It might be in here somewhere though. Okay, so I think 64 is a little too big. Let's do 32. Actually, let's do 24. I'm going to set that to 24 for now. So this is big enough for me. I like that size. Okay, so let's see. So the search commands here, we can search for packages. We can remember last category search, and we can also enable your internet search. So if you do want your system to enable the internet search, which can be controversial in the Linux world, but if you came from Windows and you liked the capability of doing an internet search from the search bar on your menu, then you can enable the internet search over here. Okay. So under favorites, your favorites menu, of course, is this guy here. And we can select the number of columns we have in our favorites. And then we can select our icon size. So these are going up to 48. Maybe you do want your icon size to be a little bit larger. Okay, and so let's go down to 2 columns again. And so here we have nice larger columns. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is you have this option here to swap the generic name and the application name. And I believe this is turned off by default, and what ends up happening is you end up with just a description. So your mail client, your web browser, your internet messages, your music player, all these end up being the original names. And that actually frustrates some people who are more purist to the packages, or in a case where you might have multiple packages. Like on many of my computers, I don't just run a single music player. Many of my packages or many of my computers all have Rhythmbox and I'll have Banshee, because I use Rhythmbox for things like podcasting, stuff like that. But I use Banshee for the media library files on the computer itself. But I actually have Kodi on there to interact with my NAS drive much easier, because that's what I use around the rest of the house. So that's kind of what I have going on there. So I really like the name of the application to be up on the top. I just think that that's a better thing. So if you click this swap, then you'll see it'll change the description. So now I have the main name up here and the brief description down below it. Now your places, this over here is where you have your places. And again, you can set your icon size independently. So let's go with 24 for the places. So here you can see we have slightly larger icons over the system here. Much larger icons on my favorites. Our places here is a little bit smaller. And then we can turn on or turn off various items here. So if I have no need for like a trash, or maybe I don't do any home networking, I can turn off trash, turn off network. So now I can see that I have computer, home folder, and desktop as the only items. Now, suppose that you have a specific application and maybe you do a lot of things with specific music, or you're doing music editing, or in my case, I'm a web developer. And so what I actually have is in my documents folders is I'll have a folder here called websites, which is where all my various websites I might be working on are located. So I went ahead and made the folder, just came into the documents, right click, create a new folder. And then what you can do is you can add your own custom items to the places by coming down here, click the Show GTK Bookmarks, and then you hit the New. And then here, I'll just cite Websites, and then find the path. I can just come right into here, go into Documents, go into Websites, push OK, OK, and you'll see that that will show up. Here's the name of it and the path. And I can now come over here and I'll see that I have my main items, and then I have another folder here for websites. I can also, let's see, no, cannot change the icon of that. I wasn't sure if I could change the icon. Okay, so that's how to adjust your places. And of course your system is these items, the icons over here. Again, icons are a little bit small. Let's just go 20 just to keep them ever so slightly smaller. And then here I can set the various types of icons that I want. So in my case, I generally don't log out. And if I want to log out, I can find the log out in other places. So I'm just going to take the log out off of there. Lock screen. Okay, I do use terminal a lot, but I'll usually launch the terminal down here. And so I'll take the terminal off from that command. So now I go up to my software manager, my control center, my lock screen, and my quit. And if you're not familiar with Mate, the control center is this very robust editor for controlling a lot of the functions. This is one of the better control panels in all the Linux systems out there you'll find in Mate. So you can see that that's how we adjust our individual main menu here. Now to adjust the icons, we right click, we hit the edit menu button inside here. Instead of we were on preferences, now it's edit menu, and this works exactly the same way as it does on Linux Mint. So you can show and you can hide various items. So let's see, if I don't need to look at, let's see, let's see, I don't need the terminal inside the system tools. Now when I come into the menu and go down to system tools, I will not find the terminal listed because I've deselected it. Now if I do want to turn that back on, I just come down, I hit the check mark, and now I come in here, go down to system tools, and now the terminal shows up. Of course, anything that I've added recently to the menu or re-added to the menu will show up in bold the first couple times that I'm running it. All right. So to add to add an item, let me just look at what the terminal command is here. You can hit the properties here to edit it. So Mate terminal. All right. So if I want to add a terminal to the accessories, I hit new item. I write terminal here. The command, just do Mate terminal, and then here it's gives us the default icon. Let's see if the terminal happens to be in here somewhere. I'm not going to go through the time to figure out where the icon is, but if you just click in here, and then you can hunt down where your icons happen to be. It might be under Mint X Apps 96 because this is where most of those happen to be. And there's the terminal. There it is. So that was pretty harmless. Okay, we'll write geeky terminal stuff for our comment. Hit OK, and now when I come into my applications, hit accessories, down here, here's my terminal, and it says geeky terminal stuff. So that's how we add an item. Now, if you want to adjust the icons, let's go ahead and actually adjust all the site icons first. So adjusting all of the site icons is done with the theming, which, so I'm going to close this panel. And I'm going to open up our control center. And then I need to find the themes. I know where this is really fast from right-clicking on the desktop. I just don't know exactly where to grab it over here. Let's see. So it should be under Appearance. Okay, so under Appearance, so you first select the coloration that you want. So there's one in here. Let's see. There were a couple in here that were for, let's see. They were not for these ones. We're going to stick to this one. You can customize. Clicking the Customize is what will allow us to actually customize the overall view here. So our major control buttons, we can select from various different types here. You'll see that that's adjusting the boxes as we go through. So I'll go ahead and pick these control type buttons. Actually, these ones are pretty nice too. Okay, we can control our colors over here, the various selected items, background, text, windows, the window borders. Ooh, little Windowsy type borders there. There's a lot of different settings you can do inside of this, as you can see here. Stick with this one. This one looks pretty cool. Now your icons over here, again, just picking your icons. There actually are a few icon packs I saw in the Mate that I really liked. These ones here actually gave me the colorations, like the combination of the GNOME icons that I liked, and also of the, so I got the GNOME icons, and then I got the minty color icons that kind of looked good in the system. So I kind of like that. So that's how we adjust our icons inside of your settings panels there. This, of course, it gave me a white coloration there because my panel changed. We might be able to adjust that another place. But for now, what we're going to do is look at making an adjustment to the individual icons. So I downloaded, prior to doing the video, I downloaded a few icons for Firefox. And we're going to highlight the item that we want to change the individual icon for, hit the Properties button over here, and then click on the icon. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go right into Custom Icons, and I just downloaded a few different Firefox icons to look at. So here, might have to close it to apply it. I did find a couple of places where the icons in, like, as I was working with Linux Mint 18, the icons on a couple of places did not always want to save. So I'm hoping I'm not encountering that issue. It is seeming to show me the icons here, but I'm not seeing that inside this, and I should be seeing those now. It's very possible you might have to restart the computer to have the icons come into effect. I'm not sure why that would occur, but it's not out of the realm of possibility on something like this. I know that on Cinnamon you do not have to do that. That it does happen automatically, but I'm not seeing it. So it leads me to believe that that's the case, and I'm not going to go ahead and restart any of those because since this is a live key, anything that I do in here is actually going to be wiped out. So I'm a little bummed, though, I'm not seeing the icons change. I thought I had tested that earlier. I think I got this far and said, okay, it changed, and assumed that it did. So we should actually be able to do the same thing here, though. Let me actually launch Firefox. No, it's still giving me the older icon there as well. So for some reason, it's not actually giving me the icon changes. I'm going to guess that it's going to give me that icon change as I restart the computer. Let me see if this one changes the icon properly. So that does change the icon properly if I do this one here. So it's the same exact process. That's pretty dark. I like it, but it's pretty dark. That one's pretty cool looking. I think this is the coolest of the icons I grabbed. So what we'll do is I'm going to edit the menu, and I'm going to come down. Okay, yep. So that is the one that I did. That kind of bums me out a little bit that it doesn't take effect immediately. Okay, so here actually, when I opened, when I changed this, it did actually open it initially, but then it popped back to the older original icon. So yeah, I'm gonna guess a system restart's gonna fix that. And if I do that, let's see, that's risky. I could try it. Sudo. I can't remember if this is the command for this or not. Nope. Cinnamon. Oh, duh, I'm not running Cinnamon. Let's try Mate. Let's see if that actually does it. It may or may not. I might be like totally, yeah, okay. That's my inexperience with Mate. On Cinnamon, I've had to restart it a couple times manually in the terminal. I don't remember if that's exactly how to restart it, but it's pretty close to that. But anyway, the icons there should change. We've covered how to, oh wait, reload plugins. That might do it. Nope, that still doesn't do it. Bummer. Okay, well, that fixed it right here. It did not fix it here. Let me remove this from favorites. Come over here, right click, and show in favorites and see if that changes it. Really? That should have showed in favorites. Interesting. You should be able to show an application in favorites by right-clicking and adding that to favorites. Once again, not showing up. I'm not sure why. Yeah, so as you can tell, I don't work with Mate quite as much. I've used it a few different times. I'm not sure why it's not showing up in favorites. My guess is that it's going to refresh everything when you restart the computer. So if anybody's out there editing and adjusting your menus, let me know in the comments if restarting this. If I get the chance, I'll install this into a VirtualBox and test that out myself. Like I said, though, since I'm running this on a live key right now, it will not save any settings. So if I restart it, and everything's going to reset again. But it does look like it did finally change over here in my main menu. The only place it's not changed yet, well, it's just simply not showing up in my favorites, and I'm not quite sure why it's not showing up in the favorites. That is the process to get something in there, is to right click. Let me see if anything else is adding there or not. Yeah, for some reason I'm just not seeing my favorites updating properly. So that's kind of interesting. It's also it could be because I'm running this on that live key. So I know I did some tests earlier, and I was able to right click, add things to the favorites. That's one of the things I wanted to show you as well, is how to add items to the favorites. And it was working perfectly fine before I ran the video, but you know, it's sometimes what you get in running the videos. I'm not all that concerned about it, just because I think it'll fix itself on either a reboot if this were an installed computer, or it might just also be a fluke of running the video and all that kind of stuff. All right, so that's just a real quick summary, maybe a 30-minute summary on how to adjust the menus in Mate. A lot of similarities to Cinnamon, a few little differences, and overall, though, it works out much the same. I do like the fact that Mate seems to have a little bit more customizability, although some things, like you can see the menu right now doesn't quite blend in. Well, I guess if I transition back here, you'll see that the menu doesn't quite blend in quite as well with the taskbar as it did when we made the similar adjustments on Cinnamon. But other than those types of things there, the Mate desktop, lots of other customizability, easy to work with, very intuitive, and hopefully this video helped you out to get your menus set up exactly as you prefer. So this has been Tom, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.